Welcome to Ritual and Remedy RX. Drum of the earth, breath of the body, spirit awakening with Dr. Janelle Clayton. Medicine flows through bone and breath, through rules and rhythm. Remember your body, remember your medicine, remember who you are. Ritual and Remedy RX, where healing becomes ceremony.
Welcome back to Ritual and Remedy, the podcast where we explore the practices, people, and possibilities that help us release what no longer serves us, restore what truly matters, and radiate from within. I'm your host, Dr. Janelle, wellness advocate, psychedelic integration practitioner, and founder of Ritual and Remedy. Today's conversation is a beautiful invitation to slow down, tune in, and reconnect with yourself in a deeper way. Joining today is Bree Ferrara, licensed clinical social worker, psychotherapist, ketamine-assisted therapy provider, mindfulness and yoga teacher, and a self-described creative and curious earthling. Through her work, Bree helps individuals navigate anxiety, life transitions, identity, exploration, trauma, and personal transformation while cultivating greater self-awareness, compassion, and authenticity. Welcome, Bree.
Hi, thanks for having me, Janelle.
Thanks for being here. So Bree and I did our psychedelic training program together, Synthesis, and I got to learn so much about her and her work. And I thought that she would be a great person to interview because she's doing such amazing work out there in the field already.
Aw, I appreciate that. I know it's been fun getting to know each other over the course of Synthesis and now outside of that.
All right, so we're going to do some questions today. Like you said, there's a lot I know about you just from being your classmate. There's also all these other amazing things that you are working on. So for those that are meeting you for the first time, what's your approach to psychotherapy, yoga, and mindfulness, and then adding in your psychedelic work with that?
Sure. So as a psychotherapist, I'm a clinical social worker by training. And so I really emphasize relationships, the relationship we have with ourselves, with others, and just the social context of what's going on with the world and with politics, culture, and beyond. And yoga and mindfulness has really helped me throughout my own healing journey, and I find it help a lot of other people. So a lot of people think therapy is it can be a lot of talking and thinking and focusing on what's going on in our mind, but yoga, breath, mindfulness, it's a great way to bring in the wisdom of our body and building that awareness. It's like a muscle we can build over time to pay attention to what's going on in our body and our internal world. And then I have always had a personal interest in psychedelics, and then began to really nerd out on all of the psychedelic research and how it's getting integrated into our healthcare and therapy. And so I work with ketamine, but I'm also quite interested in psilocybin, MDMA, and other psychedelics that bring people a lot of healing and growth.
Beautiful. So a lot of people, I feel like with yoga, psychedelics, and just transformational work or inner, self-help work, a lot of people want to find this kind of like inner peace. And maybe maybe they find it and maybe they don't. But what would you say inner peace actually looks like in a real life approach with someone that's trying to better themselves and maybe using some of these practices?
Yeah, so I think inner peace is a way to zoom out and have this knowing that there's a lot going on in this world. There's a lot of complexities in this life, and so it's having peace that things are transient, things are temporary. So it doesn't necessarily look like sitting there happy and just like thrilled that like everything in your life is going the way it should. It's taking it's like having some peace in knowing that the good times will come again and the hard times will pass.
Definitely relate to that. Okay, my next question is you describe yourself as a creative and curious earthling, which I absolutely love. So how do creativity and curiosity influence your approach to therapy and healing?
So, creative and curious earthling. Yeah, I really identify as like being a citizen of this earth because there's like a whole universe out there. Um, Creativity, I think it's really important that we think of it not just in terms of art, like, oh, I make music or I paint. Creativity can come out in the path that you choose when you take a walk outside. It can come in, the outfit you pick out, the way you arrange your pillows on your couch, what you make for dinner. So I think of creativity as just like this conscious interaction with the world. Like you're putting out your vibe and you're like curating your space, like this world around you as much as you can. You're interacting with it in this creative way. And with that, we got to ask questions. So just being really curious and not taking things just for face value, but maybe looking at things a little extra longer and being observant, and interacting with others in a way that you're not making assumptions and you're getting to learn every day.
So, okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about clients that can come in and they feel a bit overwhelmed. And so a lot of people, like, if you can kind of ask anyone, especially people like middle age, even younger, like, do they feel overwhelmed? And most people will say, yeah, they feel overwhelmed, burnt out, disconnected. Why do you think so many people feel disconnected, even if they're doing psychedelic therapy or recovery therapy? And why is it so hard for us to actually slow down these days?
Yeah, so there's so much competing for our attention today. Things move quick. We're connected to global news. People can reach us on our phone with a call, a text, any kind of app, like anytime. And so, gosh, sometimes I feel like such a boomer being like, it's these damn phones that are uh, disconnecting us. But technology is a tool and we're still learning how to use it after this big tech boom. And I think it really is something that is making people feel overwhelmed, burnt out, disconnected. So I think that's what can get in the way. Yeah, just being connected to other people too. There's this like competition that can come in. We have, we're able to see what everyone else is doing, and it looks like other people might have it all. And so, in a way, to really slow down and think about what do I need and want in this life? Like, what does my body need and want in this life? What does my spirit need and want? If we can tune out that external world and start to tap into our internal world, there's a lot of information there that can be useful.
What would you tell to someone when they are starting to move in this direction and maybe they've become less distracted, but not so much present yet.
Okay, I could see that. I think it takes time to adapt because once you start to eliminate distractions, you might feel kind of bored or blank, and people are like, well, what now? Like, is this what they're talking about? Mindfulness, like, doesn't actually feel that good. And so giving your brain and body time to catch up, like all of that dopamine and serotonin, those happy chemicals in your brain, they might need some time to recalibrate. So you're not getting it from like the flashing lights and hilarious video on your phone. You're getting it from a deep, connected breath. You're getting it from noticing a flower on your walk or really being present, even if it's a phone call conversation with a loved one. So I think it takes some time to like phase out distractions and then build more presence. Also, knowing that presence is fully a practice, it's so easy for us to get lost in thoughts about the past or worries about the future. And it's a continuous practice to keep, bringing yourself back to like, okay, where am I planted? My feet are on the ground. I'm here talking with Janelle. Let me try to be fully conscious here. So, yeah, I would say don't give up. It takes time.
Yeah. And that's true about the detoxing, just like the neurochemicals, like when you're getting that instant gratification all day for so many different reasons, it's a whole different pace when you actually unplug and pivot. And yeah, it might feel less rewarding, like you're saying, because we're chemically addicted in a way.
Exactly. Yeah. Got to give the brain time to catch up.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your yoga and breathwork practice. You're in San Diego, and you're San Diego is kind of known for yoga and meditation. You have SRF right there. You have Swami's Beach. You have so many yoga studios and transcendental, places that you can go. So if someone was gonna, start breath work, or let's say do with breath work and mindfulness, what would that look like? Or what kind of pillars would you give people to kind of get started with that?
Hmm. Yeah, I would say don't be afraid to start. It can be a little intimidating, maybe walking into a yoga class or just trying something new outside. So if that's not your thing to like go out into the community and try it, I think YouTube, awesome resource, so many free meditations that you can like search through and see what kind of voice you like. Do you like music in the background? Are you looking for something that's 2 minutes? Or are you looking for something that's 20 minutes? Like just a great library there, as well as an app I really like, Insight Timer. But technology aside, I think a great place to start with mindfulness is monotasking. Instead of multitasking, can you try to be present with just one thing at a time? For example, like everyday things. Can you have your cup of coffee in the morning and see if you could sit and drink that cup of coffee, really focusing on the sensations? Using your smell, touch, taste, sound, hearing, like all of your senses to just take in that moment. Can be done with dishes, walking without headphones. Like, see if you can monotask for a little bit, and that can really build this mindfulness of present moment awareness, not being so distracted. Yeah, and I guess one last thing to add is the breath is such an anchor. We breathe all day, every day, and not often do we think about it. So even just coming back to, I am breathing in, I'm breathing out and taking a deep, conscious breath. It can work wonders for our nervous system and just, bring our energy. If it's buzzing, it can bring it a little more down. If we're flat and tired, it can elevate it a bit. So it's just a great tool we have to feel a little more aligned with our body.
One of the things that we talk about in wellness, and like you and I've talked about this too, is kind of like whether you're coming back from like a psychedelic journey or integrating, there's that parts of yourself that you didn't realize were there. And so, how would you have any tips or practices as people become more comfortable with themselves versus kind of what society is telling them to be? It's like people are becoming, when you realize, oh, like I've been wearing a mask or I've been kind of performing. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. So like when we discover these more hidden or maybe like shadow parts of ourselves.
Yeah, or even just like let's say you're adding all these wellness practices in because they're good. Like, maybe the average person's like, "Oh, I've never tried this and that." And then you hit these deeper layers where you're like, "Why did I even start?" Or you're discovering these parts of yourself, and I think personally that's where someone like that, you're therapeutic and you have these resources for people so they're not just flying out there alone. But like even with that, you can become almost more irritated by the healthy choices. And so can you speak a little bit to that when you hit those levels of overwhelm, as you're, I guess it would be shadow work, as you're going deeper? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks to how healing and growth is a continuous process. We never reach a point where we're like I'm done. That feels great. Like all parts of me are healed. Um, like I said, we're this totally complex internal world. And so it can be a little uncomfortable when we discover parts of ourselves and we might not want it to come out, right? Like maybe there's a part that's like, I need to leave this relationship or I can't stay in this job much longer. And maybe it starts as like this small voice, but psychedelics, meditation, therapy might bring it out more. And so I think it's important to know that pretty often that quiet voice telling you to do something, like it won't stop or go away. Like it is very much there. And when you find ways to integrate it into your life, embrace it even when it's hard, you often end up so much better for it on the other side. Like I know it's Pride Month, so we've even been chatting a little bit about like queerness and sexuality. And I think for a lot of us, like our sexuality starts quiet and then can get louder. Like I am personally someone who came out in my early adult life as bisexual, and just knowing that that little part of me was actually a bigger part of me that needed to be fully integrated. It's a process, but I feel so much better for it on the other side. And I help a lot of people through that in therapy, through these life transitions and maybe reckoning with different parts of their identity so that we can really embrace it and help them live an authentic life. Bless you. Thank you.
What do you feel are some unique healing challenges that face the AI communities right now?
Gosh, I mean, there's plenty going on with politics and the administration in the US that is really targeting the queer community. And it's heartbreaking. Like I have a few clients that identify as trans, and a lot of them are developing just more and more anxiety about going out, being seen. Like a more clinical term for that you might be familiar with is agoraphobia, like sometimes turning into fear of leaving the house, or something that once came a little easier to them, like working out in a gym or going for a walk outside, has now become a like a big trigger and like a fear point. And so I think that's really challenging. And then just because it is a hotter topic in our politics lately, even the support can feel a little upsetting. Like when it gets commodified during Pride season and there's Pride flags everywhere, and buy this rainbow flag, but then you look at the flag and it's from this like super corporate company that is probably also funding the administration who's against queer rights. And so there's a lot of it's just like so complex out there and seemingly like opposite forces at play. So yeah, I see it causing just a lot of self-esteem and anxiety issues in my clients. And so I think providing them a safe space in therapy and just owning our queerness and making it more of like a visible trait is a way to create more you can't guarantee a safe space for everyone because safety is such a personal journey, but at least safer, I can hope to create as safe of the space as possible for someone.
So important. And just being affirmed for who you are is so important. So to have a therapist that understands that and provides space is so amazing. I'm sure a lot of people will see this interview and reach out to you. Um, so something else that was interesting when I was reading about your practice is you do queer affirming and kink friendly and poly friendly therapy. Um, so if someone was looking to work with you for that, can you talk a little bit about that aspect of your therapeutic practice?
Sure. So I think therapy ideally is a space where you can talk very unfiltered. And a lot of us have things that we are thinking and feeling as it comes to sex, relationships, identity. And so I like to put that on there because if someone wants to come and talk to me about their kinks, like I don't want them to feel like I'm going to judge them. I try to create a very sex positive environment where I'm just like cheering you on, and like as long as it's not harming yourself or other people and we're trying to like reduce that harm to others, let your freak flag fly. Like you should be able to live fully. Like this is where we can have liberation in our life. Like keep the politics out, keep the system out, and just like celebrate love. And if love looks kinky to you, if love looks like loving multiple people at once, like let's celebrate it and let's find a way to do it in a way that is like compounding that love. Yeah, I think especially in non-monogamous relationships, sometimes there can be a lot of stereotypes. Even if there's an openness to it, maybe it's like, oh, like swingers and like lifestylers. And while that's fantastic, there's also so many different dynamics. And a lot of people are practicing some level of non-monogamy, whether they realize it or not, like especially if maybe people are in more of like a hookup culture or dating around to learn about themselves. It can be really helpful to learn some of these tools that are traditionally poly about boundaries and communication and aftercare and all of that. So yeah, I love working with people that are just trying to figure out what love and relationships mean to them.
That's wonderful. Okay, now I can't wait to get into your ketamine practice. So, for listeners that are curious, what exactly is ketamine assisted therapy and how does that look different than traditional talk therapy?
Sure. Okay, so ketamine is this medicine. It's a dissociative anesthetic So traditionally used for anesthesia in hospitals for surgery and things like that. But they have found that using it off label, so using it to treat depression, anxiety, and trauma, is having a lot of benefits for people. A lot of symptom management, symptom relief, improvements in their quality of life. So, ketamine assisted therapy is where we're using ketamine intermittently in our sessions to bolster the growth that someone might be experiencing. So that looks like alternating between a more traditional talk therapy session and a dosing session, and then an integration session where we're putting the pieces together of what happened in the journey and how can this support you and your goals. I work with it in an oral form, so people can take the medicine in my office and I'm sitting with them and I create a whole vibe for it. But there's other ways it can be administered too. And I support a lot of people with preparation and integration if they're getting the ketamine at a clinic or somewhere else.
What do you think surprises people the most about ketamine, and what kind of misconceptions, maybe after a session, like what misconceptions do they have before the session that kind of surprise them if it doesn't happen, or if they had a positive effect after the session? I'm gonna redo that question. How are we doing?
Okay.
Okay. So, what surprises people most about the ketamine experience?
I think it surprises people how euphoric and calm it can really feel, especially people who might not have tried psychedelics in another context. They might think of the movies where you're seeing things and the walls are melting and like someone's freaking out and they can't really control their body or their voice. And instead, ketamine can be almost like a spa day for your brain, like where things can quiet down. It can feel much more relaxing, and I think that surprises a lot of people where they think they might have this like wild trip, and instead it's something more insightful and soothing and rather slow.
What kind of breakthroughs do you notice people have during and after a ketamine session, like physically, emotionally, and just in general?
Could you repeat that? It cut out for a moment.
Oh yeah. What kind okay. What kind of breakthroughs do you commonly witness during and after a ketamine assisted therapy session?
Ooh, okay. So one of my favorite breakthroughs is the self-compassion that can emerge. Um, because ketamine has a more dissociative quality, you might feel far from your body or like you're almost able to see yourself from outside. Having this outsider's perspective on maybe challenges you're having or a tough experience that you went through can build this layer of compassion. And I find that really stays like for weeks and months afterward for people. And that's just so beautiful to have this like love and empathy for yourself that maybe wasn't there before. I've noticed people just having this urge to turn towards healthier habits. Maybe they don't have cravings for alcohol or weed or whatever vice they had. Maybe even sugar. Like, seems like people just want to like feed themselves like a healthy meal in like the next week or two after ketamine. I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, the healthy habits. And then one last thing is creativity. I've seen people just have this spark reignited. Maybe a song flows out of them if they're a singer or a songwriter, or they haven't painted in years, but suddenly they feel drawn to pick up their paint brushes. I've worked with someone who was a dancer in their like young adult childhood and young adult life, took decades off, and then just had this urge, like, I have to get back to a dance class. I have to get back in the studio. And just this like channel has been opened for creativity after ketamine therapy. And I think that's awesome. It's like reigniting someone's life force.
It's amazing. All right, now I'm going to ask you some questions about preparation and integration. And I think from our training, we learned that ketamine is one of those substances where you can really reshape your brain after. So there's almost more of a advantageous effect if you can really kind of mindfully prepare. So what kind of things would you encourage someone if they were like, oh, I don't need to do that. Like, I just want to take the ketamine. What would you tell someone about preparation and then also integration if, um, you know, why it's so important with this kind of therapeutic approach?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, preparation just sets the stage for more healing and growth to happen. And so, like, intention setting is a big part of the preparation work. Just having an idea of what you want to get out of the experience can open your mind to look for that. You're more likely to achieve that goal or call that intention into your life if you have the intention in the first place. I think preparation is so important too to build up some of those skills that you might already have or you might be learning to help you through a potentially challenging experience or even just something new. You're feeling altered. How can you recenter and ground yourself? That comes with preparation of maybe we're practicing a few grounding breaths. Maybe we're even just practicing what the room will look like when you're going to take the ketamine so that you're a little more familiar, a little more comfortable. I can give someone supportive touch during a ketamine session. And so if you're like, nah, let's skip preparation and then we're in the experience and this is the first time I've ever touched your shoulder and like touched your body, like it can feel really weird. And so preparation kind of creates this like safety. I'm using all these analogies like a safety net, building the foundation, setting the stage, but it's things that we know are really important to have like an epic performance at the end, right? And so like please don't skip it. Let's do it together. I swear it'll be a good time.
I love that. Okay, now I'm going to ask you some questions about your own personal rituals and remedies. So the name of the podcast is Ritual and Remedy. So I wanted to know, what are some daily rituals that keep you grounded or keep you going?
Hmm. Yeah. So daily rituals, I love going for a walk, especially in the morning. It just helps me get my body moving. And this can literally just be a walk to like a stop sign and back. Sometimes it's nice. Sometimes I have time to spare, but just stepping outside and like looking at the sky and remembering that I'm part of this earth, that's like an awesome ritual that really grounds me down.
And then what are some of your remedies? Like, what are some of your tinctures or foods or things like that that help you?
Hmm. Um, ooh, whole foods, like the less processed, the better. Like plants are our allies. And so, eating fruit, eating leafy vegetables, like I never want to underestimate like how food can be medicine. Um, I guess building on top of that, like I've been a big fan of like functional mushrooms lately. So, having it in a powder, like blending it into a drink or a smoothie. I have some capsules that I might take. And I just feel like the research around functional mushrooms is really promising. And I notice a difference, less brain fog, more energy when I take that.
I love some functional mushrooms. I mean, I have some background,
Oh
but
yeah.
I just noticed it was from another thing. But chaga, lion's mane, reishi, like those are just so great for so many systems. So yeah, that's amazing.
Hmm.
Let's see. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about today, Brie?
Um, Hmm. I feel like I could have dove in a little bit more on breath work just because I
Okay.
recently completed a breath work training.
Hey, let's speak about that. How do movement, yoga, and breath work and therapy work together?
Hmm. So I think those all work together in the way that we're connecting our body and our mind, our spirit, our energy. So all of these different layers of our being. Um, I think breath is such a wonderful medicine when we breathe in a conscious and connected way. We can kind of like unclog our system. So any kind of like stuck energy, stuck trauma in the body can move through. So deep connected breaths can do that. Intuitive movement, like figuring out we can like stretch, open up, and create more space in the body is wonderful. We might recognize that when we do that, like a memory, an emotion, an idea can come through. So that's kind of where I like to pair therapy in it because it's a supportive person where like I'm also holding your story. I'm also cheering you on towards your goals. And so if something does get unclogged in your system and it needs to be chatted about and processed, like I'm here for it to do it on that cognitive level too. So it's kind of spanning all of these different levels of our being.
One of the things that always surprised me about breath work is how quick you can kind of move through these stages. In your training and your background, do you notice that breath work is somehow more quicker or efficient even than maybe other therapeutic approaches?
Hmm. Yeah, I have noticed it maybe like allow people to be more raw in their emotions quicker.
Mm,
Um, it might take someone like months to bring up something in the therapy room, whereas like just laying down and breathing in a deep conscious way for a half hour can boom bring up that experience that maybe they've been avoiding or weren't, you know, saying, oh, it's not a big deal, but like the breath will show you that it's right there. So I would agree with you. It can be very revealing. It's hard to hide.
hard to hide in breath work. That's something I'll speak about my personal experience too. Like I've been doing yoga a long time, and I remember just taking a few breath work classes, how triggered I became. And I had the tool of yoga because I remember kind of like early in my yoga practice, you're looking at yourself in the mirror and all this stuff is coming up and you're feeling your body. And so that's kind of like a whole learning in itself. But I was so surprised that even with that foundational, how vulnerable and like deep the breath itself could go and kind of like
Like excavate. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful for my training. Shout out to Valkyrie Studio in Ocean Beach, San Diego. They take a very trauma aware approach because the breath can bring up things so fast and so intense. And so I was trained in this like minimum effective dose mentality of like, you don't always have to be pushing so hard. You don't have to be breathing so fast. Like, you can slow things down. You don't have to do it so long, but just a little bit goes a long way when it comes to the breath.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Have you noticed that people um maybe they're not doing psychedelics necessarily, but they're having a psychedelic breath work experience? Have you seen that in your practice, or can you speak to that?
Oh, totally. I mean, I think the breath is a way to alter our consciousness, very much like psychedelics can. I mean, when we think about just what psychedelic means, it's mind expanding. And you can get that with a substance and you can get that with your own breath. So there's a lot of tools that are similar, the preparation, integration, having someone holding a container, creating a space that like we said, we can't guarantee that it's safe because
Mhm.
safety is different for everyone, but we can do our best to make it comfortable, controlled, conscious. Um, so yeah, there's so much overlap. I think that's why I got really interested in breath work too, because um, it's a similar way to reach that psychedelic peak.
Okay, so when people build a container with you, like in your space or virtually, what kind of things can they do, like then at home, to kind of like continue with that container? Um, whether it be like music or a practice. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm a big fan of like practicing mindfulness, breath, meditation, things like that in therapy so that people know how to take it outside of therapy. Um, so, like, maybe we practice just putting a hand on our heart, a hand on our belly, and taking 3 big breaths. And, if we're doing that weekly in therapy, someone will way more likely bring that outside
Mm.
and into their own life. Similar with music, right? Like after anyone I work with in a ketamine experience, I'm sharing my playlist. I'm encouraging them, go listen to this again. If there was a song that really stood out to you, like make that your song for the week. Listen to it before bed every night and like see if you could relive the experience. So, um, yeah, like,
You
and
have some good playlist, Brie. You have some good playlists.
thank you. I mean, music is one of my favorite outlets. So we should share more playlists, Janelle. I
Yeah,
bet
I'm thinking of
you.
like yes. And then if people wanted to find your playlist, how would they? How would one do that?
Oh gosh, I probably could post more on my website. But yeah, my website is a great way to stay in touch with me. It's journeywithbree.com. And yeah, I should probably work on making my Spotify more public or like curated for that too, because I do love my playlists.
I think some of the playlists you shared just from knowing you, in our different roles have been so helpful when I have been meditating. I'm like, Bree's playlist really kicks in at the right time. It's like you're a DJ, like so that's something I personally enjoyed. It's introduced me to different types of music that I don't think I would have known, like just, my little world. So I can say yes, those meditation playlists are very, very helpful.
Aw, awesome. Thank you. I know the playlist we co-created with our synthesis group was I go back to it often. I love it.
You too. Sometimes I find myself crying because of like, when you entrain to a certain song, maybe the things that were going on, I'm like, oh my goodness, this was going on. Like, and then we had this. But I used to have a chiropractor that would do that too. The ones that do network chiropractic, talking about nervous system health, like having that same playlist can really help your body, like you said, create like a safe place. So yes, it's nice to like vibe out, but yeah, I understand your practice of if you give people that structure, their nervous system is automatically going to be like, this is my safe place. And then you can kind of let that guard down a little bit quicker. So that is something that can be really physically therapeutic for people to drop in
Mhm.
quickly. Let's see. So I wanted to share something with you. This is just another serendipity thing that I feel like happens with us. But this tarot card fell out the other day. I think when I was emailing
Love.
you, and it says,
Wow.
and
That's
so it was just
amazing.
sitting here and like look at, and this is from a deck called the Color deck, but it kind of has the Pride colors too, the rainbow. But I just thought I wanted to share this with you, and just another kind of funny thing that can happen sometimes when we're connected to people. So I was just sitting here the whole interview, and I'm reading I'm like talking to you. Everything's about creativity. I'm like, oh, this is a cosmic message right now.
Yes, that is so cool. I love that card too. It's got like a light bulb on it,
Yeah.
I think. But
Uh huh.
I forgot how into tarot you are. I love tarot too. That's another like ritual practice for me. It's so cool to be connected to a deck because it'll send you messages like that. It'll just jump out of the deck onto your desk.
It's only one. There you go.
Love that. I would love if you send me, I'm sure if it comes with like a book and like a blurb about it. Oh my God, please share.
I'll definitely share it with you. Okay, so my final question, and I know you've left so many pearls of wisdom, but if there was just like one message that you had to tell people today about healing, what would it be?
Healing is for everyone. It benefits everyone. So like doing work on yourself can put out this good energy into the world. It's not such an individual practice. We're all interconnected. I think a lot of people wonder lately, like, oh, like, how can I make the world a better place? We might look around and like be really searching for improvement, and knowing that doing work and healing on yourself is a way to help heal the collective.
Amazing. Well, Bree, thank you for sharing your wisdom, your compassion, your creativity, and thoughtful approach to helping people reconnect with themselves and their own inner knowledge. And to our listeners, thank you for spending time with us. If this episode resonates with you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who may benefit from today's conversation. You can learn more about Bree's work and therapy services and ketamine-assisted psychotherapy by visiting her website, journeywithbree.com. And until next time, remember, awareness creates possibility, compassion creates healing, and authenticity creates freedom. I'm Dr. Janelle, and this is Ritual and Remedy. Be well, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Ritual and Remedy RX, where healing becomes ceremony. Earth below, sky above, medicine rising through my blood, where science meets spirit and healing becomes real. Body awaken, spirit alive, the medicine lives inside. Ritual and remedy inside. Ritual and Remedy RX. This is a space for transformation.